What we thought we'd do is a self-deport, where we're going to pay each one a certain amount of money, and we're going to get them a beautiful flight back to where they came from, and they have a period of time. And if they make it, we're going to work with them so that maybe someday, with a little work, they can come back in if they're good people, if they're the kind of people that we want in our company, industrious people that could love our country. And if they're not, they won't. But it will give them a path to becoming, to coming back into the country. If they miss that limit, they're going to be taken out of our country. And they will never get a path to come back in. And it'll be a much tougher process. And it's called self-deportation. And by doing that, you're talking about so many millions of people.
Greetings, everybody. I hope you're doing fantastic, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm reacting to a recent development from the Trump's administration involving a new voluntary immigration initiative. So the plan involves, Trump is offering $1,000 to undocumented immigrants and a free flight, okay, for those who choose to self-deport. Let's take a closer look at the details and see what people are saying about it.
Trump is offering $1,000 for each undocumented immigrant who is willing to self-deport. At first, I thought it was a joke, but then it's all over the news today. Here's the deal. They want to offer travel assistance. They'll pay for your flight, arrangements, and $1,000 as an incentive for you to leave if you use the CBP Home app to do so. So far, apparently 5,000 people use the app to declare self-deportation. But here's the thing. It's costing them over $17,000 to deport one person. So of course $1,000 is nothing for them to encourage people to leave. But this is a trap. Many undocumented immigrants potentially could have ways to fix their status. Programs like Section 245I, U visas, T visas. Once you leave the US, you're barred for life, no matter what they say. So don't take this bait, speak to a lawyer, and stay safe out there.
We just go from the sublime to crazy. So first off, we don't have the money, right?
Where is the money coming from?
Where's it coming from? I mean, look, he just put on the table last week, his administration, they want the Defense Department budget to be $1 trillion in this new budget cycle. $1 trillion Defense Department budget.
They're going to take money from HBCUs like Howard.
They're going to take money from they're taking money from everything else for that. So where are you going to find an extra $1,000 when, I don't know, 30, 40 million people show up and say, hey, we'd like to take you up on that?
I see it slightly differently, which is if they want to reach their numbers, this would be a much more financially efficient way in which to do that. My problem with what it is they are suggesting here is they are not pairing it with a future pathway back. So it feels like a sneaky way to get people to leave and then to be committed, correct, to a 10-year or indefinite bar. Because this was one of those policies that has been entertained before, but with the provision to give people a way to actually get and to be a part of a legal process. The problem here is there is no legal process that they are offering.
Okay, so just today, Cinco de Mayo, May 5th, 2025, the Department of Homeland Security has issued a statement that they're offering $1,000 for anyone who leaves the United States, self-deports, okay, through the app, okay? They're going to reopen the app, CBP app, and, obviously this will save the government money, taxpayer money, because they don't have to spend time on your case in court. They're trying to essentially get rid of due process, and they want you to make the decision to go back home sooner. If the government wanted to really help you, they would actually provide you an immigration attorney to provide you advice, because it does say that you have the opportunity to come back in the future. But of course, they're not your lawyer. They're not going to help you out. They're not going to explain that if you leave, you're likely going to incur some kind of or trigger some kind of unlawful presence bar, depending how long you've been here. If you've been here for less than a year but more than 180 days, then you're going to trigger the 3-year bar. But if you've been here for more than 1 year without lawful status, maybe you overstayed your visa, it's going to be trigger the 10-year bar, which, by the way, there is a waiver that you can apply for, but not everyone is eligible for that. So get this. The article says that, the press release says that For you to receive that $1,000, okay, you have to actually go back to your country, right? Which makes sense. But then if they don't pay you that money, like, reward money essentially, just like in other scenarios, how are you going to enforce them or force them to actually pay you? So keep that in mind if you're actually thinking about this.
So DHS announced today that they'll be offering $1,000 and a free trip back home for undocumented migrants who self-deport through the CBP app. Dare I say it, that's not a bad idea. The reason why I'm laughing is because I vividly recall a time when MAGA told us that our rough estimations of how much this mass deportation plan would cost was fear-mongering. As recent as last night on Erica's panel with this dolt, he cited this concern. Trump's DHS and Kristi Noem confirmed that the average cost to deport is $17,121. That may not include the cost of what we mess up. And boy, have we messed up. Now, Trump's alleging that he deported 142K so far. Let's do a little math here. 142K times 17,121, 2.4 billion. But Hector, that's a small price to pay for national security. It's really not, and we're losing the revenue that they bring in, say, in taxes. But Hector, they're leeches. They don't pay nothing. Y'all remember when the IRS and ICE had an agreement to share tax documents with them to find undocumented migrants? Well, I guess they're paying taxes. But Hector... And if Trump has his way and allows U.S. citizens to be deported, the enemy within, which could be your mom who denounces Israel and the G side, that cost's gonna rack up a whole lot more. Particularly when we have 2-year-olds being deported, mothers fresh out of childbearing. Update on that, she was reunited with her child and is currently waiting immigration proceedings in Tennessee because immigration advocates and state and local officials held their feet to the fire and protested like hell. Keep that up. Anyways, I hate it here. Kamala would never, and no kings.
What's 1,000 times 20 million? You got it, 20 billion. They are going to give $20 billion to illegal immigrants to self-deport, and they're calling this a discount. Woo! Once again, you Trump supporters are being exposed as some of the biggest hypocrites on the face of the earth. I thought we were trying to get rid of the waste, the fraud, the abuse, all of this wasteful government spending. But now you're talking about spending $20 billion? Wow. Unacceptable. And in case you're wondering why I'm saying 20 million, that's because that's the amount of individuals Donald Trump said needed to be deported when he was campaigning. And then he's changed it a lot of times, but you get what I'm doing. He sits around 20 million people in this country that Biden let in. So that means we're talking about spending $20 billion for this ridiculous waste of time program.
Dear President Trump, first off, let me apologize for being undocumented. I am so thankful to you that you have offered me this opportunity to go home, all expenses paid, and for the $1,000 once I get there. My home is this Mediterranean cruise ship. It travels from Italy to Greece. And so I would need an airplane ticket to get to Italy first so that I could board my home, the Mediterranean cruise ship. And then once I am on my home, that $1,000 is going to come in so handy, President Trump. It's going to help me to pay for expenses, excursions, souvenirs, stuff like that. And so I am thankful for that, and to you for offering it to me. There's one thing. I'm not exactly sure that I'm all the way undocumented. I may very well have documents. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to go home to my Mediterranean cruise ship for about 2 weeks so that I can find my documents. And once I find my documents, if I have them, then I will definitely come back because you are offering that as well. So I am very thankful to you for this opportunity to go home.
Pitched as a dignified way to leave the US. And it's honestly a win-win, not just for illegal immigrants, but it's also a win-win for the taxpayers because it's way cheaper to have people voluntarily deport themselves and get $1,000 cash than it is to have ICE come in and try to deport millions of people that are here illegally. If people just start deporting themselves, this will decrease the cost of DHS's deportations by 70%. I don't think people realize how expensive it is to actually deport just one person.
I would like to warn that no one should be doing this process without consulting a lawyer. Here's why. Leaving the United States as an undocumented individual could impose severe consequences. This includes a 10-year bar on re-entry.
Now, and I feel some kind of way about this, you guys, because after Elon Musk and Doge found out about how our tax dollars have practically been stolen from us, I feel like no one else should get another cent before the taxpayer, the working class. But then you have some people saying it would be cheaper to pay them to leave than to continue to house them. And it kind of makes sense, especially now that you have these bought and paid for left-wing activist judges and Congress people that are harboring them, okay, and fighting for them to stay. You know, I saw a report earlier today that a hospital gave $121 million worth of services to illegal immigrants in just 1 month. Okay, that's just one hospital, 1 month, 121 million. So just think of how many hospitals, if they were to total it up, render services to illegal immigrants that can never pay it back. And then we wonder why our insurance don't pay for shit, because they have to make that money up some kind of way, and it always falls on the working class. Now I know why that stranger told me years ago. She said, you either want to be rich or you want to be poor. You do not want to be in between. Because when you're rich, you're at the top, you can call some shots and find some loopholes and ways to get around paying taxes, okay? When you're poor, you pretty much can live off of the system, but that's if you don't have any ambition or goals in life. But when you're in between, it's like the bulk of the weight of the top and the pressure from the bottom, it comes down on you, okay? Because you're considered the working class and you are the bulk of the tax dollars, okay? So I feel like that little scene in that movie, The Bronx Tale, when the little boy told his dad, the working man is a sucker, daddy, the working man is a sucker. And then his dad was like, no, the working man is not a sucker. You try getting up every day, day in and day out, going to work for years, okay? Then you'll see who the tough guy is. So some days I feel like the tough guy, some days I feel like the sucker. But I know one thing, I want my goddamn Doge check.
I think you'll have some movement, right? Because I think people are finally getting the message. If you leave on your own, you can take advantage of legal programs, come back. But we have to go through the process of formally deporting you. There are mandatory bars against you for up to 20 years, sometimes forever. So, you know, if you want to take advantage, come back as a worker, a tourist visa, a visitor's visa, a student visa, or have a U.S. citizen child if you have one, petition for you in the future. Leave yourself open to the opportunity of legal entry.
So that is the situation, and the situation is sparking a lot of debate from different sides. And I think this is just a smart way of deporting people. It is just a smart way of telling people, just move out, all right? And I would love to hear from you. Do you think the approach is fair and effective? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe for more content like this. Until next time, do have a lovely time.